Welcome to the Thriving Woman Project podcast, hosted by myself, Wendy Griffith. This is the podcast for women who want to level up and thrive in all areas of your life, health, and business. Join us as we cover a range of topics, all inspiring you to thrive and not just survive. We are here to work on the project of you, because I believe the best gift you can give your family and the world is a healthy and thriving you. It's time to thrive. Hi, Thrivers, and welcome back to episode 3 of season 4 of the Thriving Woman Project podcast. And I have a really special guest with us today, which I'm so excited for you to hear from. She's an amazing woman, so inspiring, and I just know that you're going to get so much value from all the information that she shares today and the conversation that we're going to have. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to welcome you, my gorgeous friend, Sehar, onto today's episode.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for asking me to come on this podcast. It's a favourite one of mine. I love listening, so it's really nice to be on the other end and be sharing some of my insights in my life with you today.
Amazing. So yes, you can hear you've got sort of a very multicultural, guest here today. So you've got Sehar, who's sitting up in Glasgow in Scotland. You've obviously got me down here in Norfolk in the UK and England, but with a South African accent. So hopefully you can all understand what we say today and that it all makes sense. We will do our best to speak and enunciate. I absolutely love the Scottish accent, but I know sometimes people really struggle with it. Do you find that, Sehar?
Yes, they love the accent, but they just don't know what I'm saying half the time. So I do need to speak a lot slower. But hopefully we'll get through this podcast and everyone will understand what we're saying.
And if we have to sort of make notes in the show notes to say, and that's what we meant, we'll do that. So don't worry, we'll make sure that you're in the loop of what we're talking about. But yes, I just really, to kick off today's podcast, just really wanted to ask you just to give us a brief introduction of you, who you are, and all the good stuff that we need to know about you.
Yep, sure. So like Wendy said, my name's Sehar. I'm a mum to 2 beautiful girls, Maya and Isla, who are 8 and 4. They definitely keep me busy. I'm also wife to Usman, who is an absolute amazing husband. And I'm also a pharmacist. That is my background. I've been a pharmacist for 11 years, been in the pharmacy industry for over 15 years. And I did the whole corporate grind, 9 to 5, for, most of that period of being qualified as a pharmacist. But in the last couple of years, I've very much realised that that's not what I wanted to do and be stuck on a hamster wheel and, working for someone else. So I kind of branched out and I've left the corporate world. And now I run my own pharmacy consultancy business. I also have got my health and wellness business with Arbonne. I've had that for 8 years and I absolutely love helping people get really healthy and, just being the best version of themselves. And we're also just a few weeks away from launching my 3rd business, which I am so excited about. It is the biggest, the scariest thing that I've ever done, but I'm freaking excited more than anything and other than that. And that is an online pharmacy. So the last couple of years, being in the consultancy world, I very quickly, went into a niche, which is online pharmacy. And I was helping everyone else start their online pharmacy or improve their online pharmacy. And me and my husband, we've got a running joke that every client that I had, every client I went to go and see, they either offered me a job or a partnership in their business. So it was a running joke, and it got to that point where I thought, God, if everyone else wants me to be part of their business or, offer me a job in this industry, I must be half decent at what I'm doing here. Why am I not doing this myself? So that's where at the beginning of this year, I really kind of just put my head down and thought, right, I'm just doing it. And so we're only like 3 weeks away from launch, which I'm super excited about because you're going to come up for the launch as well.
Yes.
So a lot of exciting things going on. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and what I do.
Gosh, that is a lot. And I just love it. I've been on this journey with you over the past year. As you say, we both have wellness businesses with Arbonne, so we've known each other for many years. And I've just seen that growth and that evolution in you and just how you've blossomed, and absolutely like everybody wanting to work with you for your expertise. And I'm so thrilled and like proud of you for actually just putting that stake in the ground and just going for it, backing yourself. I know it's been a scary journey. I know there's been so many obstacles and ups and downs and things to overcome, but I cannot wait to be up in Glasgow at the end of November 2023, if you're listening in the future, just to celebrate you and all your success and your courage and bravery for stepping out, which is amazing. But with all that said and all the things that you do, and again, like just to add as a little side note, I've always felt a special affinity to Sehar because when she talks about being a pharmacist and having that background in pharmacy, well, in my family, like that's a huge part of our family story as well. My whole family's in the medical world, except for me. I went the, more, I suppose, like mental health route and into psychology. I didn't do the sort of the science and maths route. But my amazing late stepfather was a pharmacist. My uncle's is a pharmacist. My stepsister is a pharmacist. She's actually a really big cheese in the pharmacological world and pharmaceutical world. My mom is, worked for a massive pharmaceutical company, as have, so many of my other like members of family. So I just feel like I get and understand your world. And I feel like my stepdad would just be looking down right now going, oh my goodness, did I ever think I'd see the day where you'd have like an online pharmacy where people could literally go on an app, go on the website, order their medication, pick that up. And when we know, in this country right now, it's so difficult for people to access medicines and so many difficulties in the pharmacy space. And you are really creating an incredible solution to that product, especially for us busy mums who just need to get the stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just incredible to see your journey with that. So I had to add that in as a little side note because I think it's amazing. And also you're breaking such huge ground with your new online pharmacy. It's going to be the first B Corporation certified online pharmacy. You're also being a woman, an Asian woman as well. Like this is all groundbreaking stuff. Is it? I suppose it hasn't really sunk in for you yet.
I don't think it has. And I think obviously I've had the advantage of working in the industry for 2 years, and I can see what is being done. And obviously when I decided that I wanted to start this, I didn't want to just start another online pharmacy because, they all do the kind of similar core services and that's great. But actually the industry is also getting a bit of a bad name just now. And for me, my mission was that I need to change that narrative because actually online pharmacy can be an incredible thing for, the ideal customer, such as a busy mum and, people that are working, people that just can't get access to healthcare services at a time that suits them. So I wanted to create an online pharmacy with a business model that actually was a little bit different to what's already happening out there. And number one is obviously the B Corp, which is exciting. We will be the first B Corp pharmacy in the UK. Now, for me, that's phenomenal, like to be able to do that.
Can we just explain to people very quickly what a B Corp is?
Yeah,
and why they're so significant?
Yeah. So a B Corp certification for a company, it just means that they are, they're held to much higher standards across their profit, how they treat their people and how they look after the planet. And essentially it just means that company has much higher standards of how they operate and, the good that they do with the planet. And
you have to go through such a process, haven't you, for this? It's no small thing.
Yeah, I've just started the process now, and all honestly, I'm just like, oh my God, this is so long, but I know it'll be 100% worth it. And the reason why I decided that if I'm launching an online pharmacy, for it to be a B Corp certified one, and it's because shopping habits are changing with consumers. Like people are becoming more and more aware of the money that they're spending, against certain brands, and are they sustainable? Are they doing the right thing for the planet? Are they looking after their people? That is becoming, quite a big deciding factor when you're choosing where to shop, and
definitely
that's only going to increase. So obviously starting a business, it's, I'm playing the long run in the sense that, I don't want to then be starting a business that works and operates a certain way to then have to change it in the coming years, because now that is the standard, B Corp. That's normal for everyone. So it's about getting ahead of the curve. So for me, that was a big thing of introducing that as part of the new business, but also having multiple clinics and services that are available with specialists in the industry, so such as mental health. There's going to be a huge mental health clinic with specialist pharmacists because there's a big gap around that, and I'm very passionate about, really looking after the people with these issues because they are very real. And also on the back of the pandemic, these are the kind of cohort of patients that are, for kind of almost forgotten about, because, they may not have something, as obvious or physical or as serious as, a heart condition or diabetes. They're almost at the bottom of the list to be reviewed and checked in on. So for me, there's definitely a gap there to really help these people. And part of like our mission with the online pharmacy is to really empower people to look after their health. Yes, we are a pharmacy, and yes, we can, you can have access to medication. However, we're also going to encourage you and educate you to look after the root cause of that condition. And for me, that's what's different to what's already happening out there. And it's really about, curing the root cause of the illness, educating people and empowering people to actually look after themselves, rather than here's medication and it's almost like putting a plaster over it, a band-aid over it. So so lots of the exciting things, a lot of partnerships with other clinicians, and we have a multidisciplinary team. We've got a GP on board, so it's very, very exciting. It's a massive project, but honestly, I'm absolutely buzzing, because I know so many things are going to happen on the back of this, and absolutely, I'll, watch this space, because the industry is going to change, and you'll see my face on it.
Amazing. I'm just, that is absolute music to my ears as a health coach, because we know the situation here, specifically in the UK, where, people go and see their doctor. They've got their 7-8 minute slot, whatever it is now. And unfortunately, doctors don't have the opportunity to get to the root causes. But something I will always say to people, and I suppose it's because of my family background and history, is go and see your pharmacist. Actually, they are such a source of help, support, and information. So again, the fact that you are addressing things like root, causes of things, and I know we're going to talk about a certain topic in a minute that we are both very passionate about, but it's the key really. And as you say, it's the empowerment piece, helping, educating people, not just, oh, here's some medicine, off you go. Let's look at actually how we can help people, and really for them to take ownership of their health. And that's something that's such a passion for both you and me, is actually equipping people to take ownership of their health and well-being for the long term. So yes, very exciting. And I feel like I should be like getting your autograph now before you get too famous with everything that you're going to be creating. But with all that you have on your plate, a very, very packed work schedule, wife, mum, and I know that you are just an absolutely doting wife and mum. You're so hands-on and present with your family. Tell me, what are your top 3 tips for thriving in your busy life?
I don't know if I've got 3. I probably have a lot more, but let's start. So I think number 1 is looking after my own health and well-being, and a massive thing that you need to do when, one thing if you're going to do in terms of looking after your health and well-being is look after your gut health, because that filters into so many other areas of your well-being. So number 1 tip would be look after your gut health. And I do that through a simple supplement that I take. It's 1 drink with, lots of fruit and veg, phytonutrients, antioxidants, prebiotics, probiotics. If you're
watching on the screen, I'm drinking it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is one thing. And that is a habit that I've had for several years. And I know for a fact if I don't take that every single day and I've missed a few days, it really does affect my well-being. So, my energy is not the best. My moods can fluctuate. I'm exhausted. I've got brain fog. I might have some skin breakouts. My bloating starts appearing. So actually, if you have a really busy lifestyle, if you've got a lot going on, you have to look after yourself first and foremost, because then you won't be able to perform at your best. So, that for me is one of the biggest things, is looking after my health and wellness through the right nutrition, through gut health, and in getting enough rest. So the second thing would be leaning in and asking for support. I'm only one person, but I wear multiple hats. I'm my wife, I'm my mum, I'm my daughter, I'm a multi-business owner. So many people rely on me. They need things from me, and, I have to do so much. And actually I can't do everything but do it well. So actually what I've learned over the last year or so as I've been building this new business is that actually I need to outsource and I need to ask for support. So if I can do things like outsource like the cleaning, I'm doing it. I'm getting a cleaner in. If I can outsource some like, meal prep, I can do it. If I need to lean on my husband and ask for support with the kids, like I will do that, because ultimately what I've realised is that, it's a short-term sacrifice, but for the long-term gain. So absolutely asking for support allows you to thrive and just not end up in a place where you're burnt out and before it's too late to ask for that help. So that's really important.
I think that is such an important point. I feel like we need exclamation marks, neon signs.
Highlight.
I think underline, highlight, all of the above, because that is something that I've seen you do. And I know it's not easy for you. It's not very easy for a lot of women to delegate. But we cannot. There's no possible way to do all the things, be, thriving in the boardroom, thriving in, motherhood, all the things. We absolutely have to lean on and ask for support. So by doing that, I've seen your businesses thrive, and also your relationships with your family and your kids thrive as a result of you doing that. So I just want to give you a massive high five, double high five for doing that, and just knowing what you need to support you in your life.
Yeah, thank you. That's amazing feedback as well. And the third thing I think for me, and this is something that I really focused on doing this year, is really taking time out for myself and self-care and recharging my batteries. Because when your business is, when your business and your motherhood and everything, all the different elements of your life are just so full on, you do need to take time away from it all, and not just, without the kids, without the husband, without all other distractions, well, just you. And one of the things that I do is now, like, I will make sure that I have a massage booked in once a month, or a spa day booked in once a month, or something for me to, whether it's a few hours, whether it's half a day or a whole day, something for me that really just allows me to recharge my batteries. Because again, if you're continuing to really run on empty, you're not going to do things to the best of your ability. So for me, and I think as women, we feel guilty when we, ask for time for ourselves or take that time out. And now I've got to a point where I've actually, no, this is a necessity. I have to do this. I don't feel guilty anymore, because I realised that actually this is a necessity to allow me to then be a better mum, to be a better businesswoman and serve my clients. Like, I have to be on my best form. And, so it's like doing that self-care without the guilt. So I would say that's definitely the three things that have really kind of grounded me over the last few months when it has been very, very tough. I'm not going to lie, it's not been easy. I'm working full-time in my consultancy role. I've got 2 young kids who are quite demanding and need attention. I've got a house to run. And being Asian as well, we have a lot of family commitments, whether it's weddings or birthdays or events. There's always something on. And also I'm probably the one in the family that has everybody over to the house, and I cook the dinner and all of that, and just, get everyone together. So I love doing all of that. And, if anyone knows me, they know I probably don't do anything by the half. It's everything is full on when I do it.
You want to get invited to Sehar for dinner. Honestly, it's like the best pakoras you will ever eat, the best curry. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to come and see you at the end of this month. As if you don't have enough on your plate. But yes, I think, and I also noticed that you've been getting into reformer Pilates. So that's something new that you've started, looking after your well-being. And I know you were working with a PT as well. So I know that you're always trying and tweaking your self-care protocol as such, just to really hone that.
I mean, I've always had a bit of a love-hate relationship with exercise. Like, I
think most women do, in fairness.
And I think that's been a big part of just like my growth journey. And actually, I've done the PT thing, which I absolutely loved. I had a great PT. But then as my diary was getting really, really busy, as this, as we're getting closer to the launch of this business, like, it just wasn't working, because the times that she could do, I was in meetings or things like that. So I thought, but I don't want that to be an excuse that I don't exercise at all, because, I know if I'm teaching other people about wellness and all of that, I then need to understand that actually we should be exercising, not because we have to for weight loss or anything like that, but actually for your mental health, like endorphins, that rush of endorphins that you get, the energy boost that you get at sex is just amazing. So actually tried reformers Pilates, and I'm not going to lie, I was way at my comfort zone when even going to that class alone, didn't know anybody. I was like, yeah, I'm the new kid on the block here, like coming to this class. But my goodness, I've been consistently for the last 2-3 weeks, 2 or 3 classes a week. And I have never done that for any other type of exercise. And I've booked a block now, so I know I'll continue going now over the next few weeks. And it's amazing. It's amazing. So I would definitely encourage, if you're a busy mom or somebody that perhaps hasn't, always had, or someone that's had that love-hate relationship with exercise, find something that you love. Because I used to watch people on social media. I'm like, oh my God, I love going to the gym and I love whatever class. And I'm like, how do you love it? Like, I'd never used to, because I had never felt that way until I started reformer Pilates, and I'm like, oh my God, I love it. I was saying to my mum the other day, I was like, Mum, I think I'm going to take you to this. I think you'll love it. I've literally told so many of my friends, and I'm like, come on, you need to go. Because
that is such a funny thing, and I'm laughing because I am that annoying person who loves going to the gym, but I never used to be. But I think it's about finding the right gym, and for me, I found such a lovely small community gym, which is, for me, it's more about the community. It's about the women, the laughs. I mean, we spend most of the time, joking around, and obviously we're working out, but it's just that community. And I think that's so important, because when you do work for yourself and you can feel a little bit isolated, like for me, I look forward to going, doing that session, whatever it is. And it's funny because people often ask me if I work for the gym, because I'm always posting about the gym and stuff. I actually have to say, because my husband's teasing me, I actually just got awarded Member of the Month. So I get a shaker cup. I'm so excited. But no, for me, and it was just so lovely what they said. They were like, Wendy is always encouraging her other, gym members and things like that. And that's just me. That's just my natural personality. So just find what suits you and your vibe and your personality and your values, and that will help you stay consistent. So I absolutely love those 3 tips. Those were absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing those with us. Now, I'm going to ask you quite a deep and meaningful question in a minute. But before I do that, we're just going to hear a quick word from our sponsors. Do you feel overwhelmed or just a bit stuck with how to market your online business? Maybe you've dabbled a bit, or you've followed various advice you've gleaned online, but something is still not clicking for you. If you're feeling unsure about how to reach your ideal clients so that you can serve and help them like you were called to do, then you may want to check out my Thriving Biz Club. This is my program for wellness business owners who are destined to grow a thriving online business. In it, we cover topics like branding and speaking to your ideal customer, selling on social media, creating your first automated funnel, and nurturing your growing online audience through email marketing. But what makes this extra special is the community and accountability that comes with it. Join us for ongoing support with our monthly coaching and co-working sessions, as well as our WhatsApp community where we share for accountability and take inspiration from others. We also become your personal cheerleaders in business. The Thriving Biz Club is the program I've created that I wish I'd had when I first started my business over a decade ago. To learn more, go to the link in the show notes of this episode, because you deserve to create a healthy, sustainable, and thriving online business without the stress and hustle. Okay, so welcome back to part 2 of this episode 3 of the Thriving Women Project podcast. So, Sehar, you are very honest and very authentic, and this is why I know I can ask you this question and you'll be completely honest. But obviously, we've been talking about top tips for thriving, and you've been sharing all the good stuff in your life. But, can you tell us perhaps about a time in your life where you have struggled, and perhaps some of your tips and hacks for how you overcame this, or how you might still be overcoming this?
So there's been definitely lots of challenges in my life, like growing up, but I think one of the things that really stand out for me, that's been the hardest thing for me going through it, and then still the hardest thing, I don't think I've got through it ever, and that would be the loss of my brother back in the beginning of COVID, when we just went into lockdown. He was only 28 years old, and it was very sudden. And I think for me that has been the hardest thing, because that's something that nobody should ever have to go through. No parent should have to bury their child, and no sibling should have to lose their brother, or their sibling, like a sister. And for me, that was really, really difficult. And you're asking me how some of my tips of how I've got through it. I'll be honest with you, I don't think I have ever got through it, even though it's coming up for 4 years in April next year. I don't think I have ever got over it or got through it. And I don't think you ever do when it comes to grief. And you'll know that as well, like losing your dad recently. But you always kind of learn to kind of grow and, you know, deal with all that kind of hurt and all those questions that are unanswered. But looking back at that time, like, you know what, I actually don't think I actually grieved in the first few weeks, because I stayed with my parents. We all stayed together, and my focus very much at that time was just looking after my family, looking after my parents, more than anything else, or like, you know, actually looking or dealing with the grief that I was feeling or what I was feeling. I almost just pushed all my feelings to one side and just kind of became focused on making sure that mom and dad were okay, my younger siblings were okay. You know, Isla, my youngest, was, you know, not a 9-year-old. She was about 9-10 months old at that time. So I'm still postpartum, like, you know. So there was a lot going on. And the fact that actually we were in lockdown, the first lockdown, and, you know, everyone knows how difficult that was, but we couldn't even see our family. Like, you know, when you have a death in the family, especially in the Asian community, everyone kind of comes together. You know, there's a lot of visiting at the house. There's a lot of like support that we never had any of that because of COVID. So it was a very, very difficult time then. And I remember there was a few things that did just keep giving me that strength. And one of them was having my Arbonne community, my Arbonne friends, my Arbonne family, which, you know, includes you. And I remember you guys sent me this most beautiful hamper. And, you know, it just made so much sense to me, because most people like would send flowers or, you know, things like that. And you guys put together the most beautiful hamper filled with dates and lots of like kind of like snacks and things like that, and a beautiful card that basically just said, you know, because when my brother passed away, the day of his funeral that we had, it was Ramadan had started like a day or so before. So we were in the month of Ramadan. And the note that you guys had sent with the hamper was, you know, we want you to have this stuff, like, and just sit together as a family and talk about your brother and eat these snacks and, you know, and just enjoy those memories. And for me, that meant so much. Like, and that was also a point in my life where I realised the power of having my Arbonne business, because from the moment that my brother passed away, when I got that phone call, I didn't do anything in my business for about 6-7 months, but every single month I got a paycheck because of the work I'd already done. So for me, that was the first moment that I actually truly understood the power of having an online health and wellness business with Arbonne, because I was just due to I had just gone back to work after maternity leave, and although I was only going back 2 days a month because I could afford to, because of my Arbonne business at that time, like, I had to then have conversations and difficult conversations with my employer to say, I'm not ready to come back to work. But at what point were they going to keep paying me? You know, they don't. They stop when you have a certain timeline of how much, you know, sick pay you have. But with my Arbonne business, I got paid every single month.
Powerful.
My team, they handled all my clients. My team supported them, and I just got to be with my family. So for me, that was something. So if you've ever wondered, you know, on a side note, if you've ever wondered, you know, what are the benefits of building something like this, prepare for impact. That's what I would say. That is a massive benefit, or having the support of a community when you really, really need it. So that was one of the things. And then the other thing that, you know, I had to do is have therapy, because I just couldn't comprehend like what was happening and why it happened. But also what I couldn't really understand was how I handle like my parents, because obviously they were grieving and I'm trying to comfort them and I'm trying to be there for them as, you know, the eldest. I'm trying to be there for my sister, and sometimes, like, you know, I felt like we were progressing. We were, you know, I was making an impact and I was helping them, But other times I felt I was taking 10 steps back. Like I just didn't know how to, I was approaching with caution, like sometimes because, my mum was in her grief and, or I just didn't know how to speak to my dad. And, but at the same time, I didn't want to not do anything because I knew they needed support, but I just didn't know how. So therapy massively helped me understand, like, how I behave and actually some of the actions of other people and all of that. And that was the first time that I've had therapy like that. And I would highly, highly recommend, having that if you've gone through something. Doesn't matter if it was years ago, but if there's things that you haven't dealt with, I would say absolutely there's definitely a place for that. And to, go and speak to somebody, speak to a professional. And I did then have therapy after, when it came up round about his 1 year anniversary, because I found that a really difficult time. I just couldn't still at that point comprehend, like, how has it been a year now? It's like, because we were still in lockdown, we were in COVID, and the peak of the pandemic. So it really blew my mind when I would see people like a year and a half on for the first time, and then they would say to me, they would send me their condolences and say, I'm sorry to hear about your brother. And it would totally catch me off guard because I totally forgot I haven't seen people face to face, like, so so I think that was definitely the hardest time. And then the third thing that I think that's probably helped me is just having, like, staying strong to my faith. I think over the last few years, just really kind of getting closer to God and stuff, and really, praying and all of that stuff, and really understanding that this life is very temporary. It's not forever. And, God is the best of planners, and, there would have been a reason why this happened. And I always just think, whenever you go through hurdles in life, I always ask myself, what is God trying to teach me here? There's a lesson in this. Every hardship, I always think is a test for us. It's either God's way of teaching us something, or for him to give us an opportunity to become closer to him. And you'll understand that with your faith, it's very, very similar. So I think having that faith really, really has helped me with the grief. And now, don't get me wrong, there are some days where I feel like it's so raw, and then there's some days where I'm at peace with it. But that is the whole grief journey. You're up and down. It is like a roller coaster. And and amongst all of the hard times that we've had, and like going through that death with my brother and stuff, like I just hold on to the really special memories and moments, and actually it's so funny how God works in mysterious ways. Like Maya was only about 4 or 5, so I think she was 5 at the time, and yeah, she would have been 5. And obviously Isla was only like 10 months old, so she doesn't remember him. Now, there's so many moments where I catch my two girls chatting, and Maya's telling her about her uncle. And, it's just the sweetest thing ever. She's like keeping him alive. And actually, she told me just the other day that in school they were talking, a part of the RE, they were talking about if they had ever lost somebody, and she said, I talked about my mum Omar, and Mum just means uncle, and that's what she called him. And I was just so surprised that she remembers so much about him, and we chatted about it, and even just simple things like sometimes the logic of a child is so simple, and as adults I think we get so caught up in our emotions and make things really complicated. One time, so when Maya was younger, around by the age where my brother passed away, she was obsessed by watching my wedding film. Obsessed. She would watch it on repeat. And when he passed away, she was when we were staying at my mum's, and she had it on and she was watching it, and I was there. My mum came in the room. It was a point where my brother was on the screen, and they had all recorded like special messages from me and this man, and he was on the screen, and me and my mum got really emotional. And now what Maya turned in simply just, anytime you miss him, just watch him on your movie. It's so simple, so logical. And, so I think that just being there, like having my kids, that was a massive thing, because it was almost like, listen, you can't let yourself crumble like this. You've got 2 beautiful girls that are relying on you. So get up and just,
And then in saying that, my child said something to me the other day, which totally floored me. She said, because she was crying about something, and I said, it's okay to cry, sweetheart. Mommy cries too. And she goes, I never see you cry. And I was like, oh my goodness. And it was kind of a mental note to myself to let her see more of my weakness, because we're so determined to show up and be strong for everybody, but actually it's okay to show your vulnerability, and your kids need to see that, because they also need to see that process of grief. And I've been through very similar with losing my dad, and my daughter, sometimes she'll call me upstairs at bedtime and she'll be in floods of tears, and she's like, I really miss grandpa. And so we'll need to sit there and we'll pray and we'll talk to him and we'll talk about the invisible strings and all that kind of thing. And so, yeah, it is such a journey, as you say. Some days you're fine, other days it catches you off guard, but it is all a process. And I just want to thank you so much, because I know that was incredibly hard to share, but I also know that we both believe that by sharing the hard stuff, we can really empower and help others. So if you're in that situation right now and you feel like there's no way forward and you're really struggling with grief, then please know that I'll post a link to resources in the show notes to help you. And yeah, just thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that. I love the plug for therapy. I'm a big fan of therapy myself, and I definitely had some after my dad died, and just definitely needed that to process. But yeah, just to kind of up the tempo as we come into land on today's episode, because I know that's quite heavy stuff, but I think it's really important to have the good and the hard conversations, and that's what I really want this Thriving Women Project podcast to be about. But tell me, is there something that people might not know about you? So if anyone goes and follows Sehar on social media, you'll see that she's like an amazing fashionista and her food is just incredible. Like, I'm always salivating when I look at her social media with the food she cooks. But is there something that maybe even I don't know about you that you might want to share, or a funny story or something?
I mean, I was thinking about this when you sent me through the questions, and I was a bit like, I'm an open book. I genuinely am. Like, what you see is what you get. And if you're in my friend circle, like, you will know what I'm like. But one of the things I think that most people probably wouldn't believe, because they see me as this person that does so much, like the mum that's got it all and got our shit together and all of that stuff. And actually, they won't believe when I tell you that I am the world's biggest procrastinator. Like, I just don't do stuff until the very last minute. And I think that's really important to share that, because it's so easy to watch people on social media and just think that, oh God, they do it all. I don't know how they do it. They've got the kids and she's working and she cooks like, meals from scratch every single day. And actually, like, what? It's not always like that, because social media is a highlight reel. And do you know what? I would say I am the biggest procrastinator, something that I definitely need to work on. But I remember having a conversation with you and you said, look, end of the day, if you're still getting your stuff done, you just need to stop stressing for a whole week that you're procrastinating and just get it done on the day. Just know it's still going to get done. And then you take away all that stress of like stressing about it.
That's the thing. I am so that person as well. And I just spent so many years beating myself up for the fact that, like, people would come in at uni, and my friend Karen, honestly, she'd come in and she'd be like, yeah, just finished my project for next month. I'm like, what? How? Like, how does that even like assimilate in your brain? I just don't get it. But now I am that person. Like, I'm delivering a talk tomorrow for a group of like 18-year-olds on health and nutrition. I'm totally bricking it because yeah, like it's going to be really interesting. I know, exactly. They're like eating McDonald's every day. I'm like, oh. But yeah, and I put in my diary, even though I've known about this for about 3 months, I put in my diary for today to write my presentation, because I just know that I'm not going to do it. Like, yes, I've got little notes that I've jotted down, but and I've put things in motion. Like, I asked my VA to like take one of my workbooks that I use for different talks and update it with certain things. And so I had that all done last week and I had some notes written, but then I could sit down today in hyper-focus mode and just get that work done. So that's what I've said to you, as a coach, and we've worked together. I said, like, don't worry about it. Just, if you're that person who does things lastminute.com, actually schedule the fact that you are lastminute.com. And because I know I work better under deadlines. So I just give myself deadlines, and that's what I do. So whether you give me 2 weeks to do something or whether you give me 1 day, I'm going to get it done the day before or like 2 hours before, whenever. So love that. I'm so glad that you shared that, because that's an opportunity for us to really sort of lift the veil on what people perceive, that these people that are thriving are just like, everything's super, super duper organized. But right now, just to finish today's amazing podcast, which has been so full of incredible value and tips, thank you so much. How can listeners be in your Sehar world? Like, how can they connect with you? What's the best way?
So basically, I live on Instagram. Like, that's where you'll find me. So my handle is Sehar the pharmacist. I'm sure, Wendy, you put it in the show notes. Literally, everything happens on there. But from that platform, then you can, access so many things, like subscribe to my newsletter, join my VIP health and wellness group, and basically you'll find my journey over the next few weeks of the launch of the online pharmacy as well. So, yeah, definitely would love to connect. And just chat to anyone that you found that, this was useful listening to this podcast. But yeah, that's where you'll find me on Instagram.
I love it. I love a bit of the gram as well. So yes, so inspiring. I love Sehar's weekly newsletter. She's also got an amazing gut health guide. So yeah, get connected in with her. She has got so much value to share with you. But yes, thank you so much for everything that you've shared with us today. You are such a blessing in this world. You shine your light bright. And I'm just so grateful to know you and have the opportunity for this community to hear from you today.
Thank you so much for having me. Lots of love.
Thank you for joining me for today's episode. If you've got value from this, please won't you take 2 seconds to take a screenshot and share a pic of this episode on your socials. Extra points if you'd like to rate and review this podcast on your preferred platform so that we can share the love with more women wanting to thrive in their lives. Do be sure to visit my website, wendygriffith.co.uk, to get all my free resources to support you on your thriving journey. Until next time, God bless, take care of yourself, and keep thriving.